Hi there, my name is Jason Ayers, CEO of the Croft Financial Group and a member of the Investment Review Committee. On behalf of the committee, thank you for taking the time to watch our portfolio manager's brief for February 2020. Well, January 2020 was full of surprises on a global scale. For starters, we saw the decade begin with increased tensions in the Middle East as U.S. airstrikes successfully removed Iran's top military leader from power on January 3rd. This would prove to have little impact on the stock markets as both U.S. and Canadian equities continue to rally into new highs. This driven by an expected strengthening in global GDP, a signed Phase 1 trade agreement between the U.S. and China, continued consumer optimism, along with a wait-and-see attitude towards corporate earnings, and of course, low interest rates and a healthy case of FOMO, or fear of missing out, in spite of stretched valuations. With seemingly nothing standing in the way of global markets, the unexpected happened, as news of a viral outbreak in China began to cross the headlines. As this news began to spread, stocks began to sell. However, even the risk of a global pandemic was not enough to keep the markets down, as the major indices in both US and Canada closed positive or close to it for the month of January. So does this mean the risk is over? We don't believe so. So far, markets have been resilient as investors try to decipher what the real risks are, both health-wise and economically. This is no easy task given the amount of misinformation circulating. China has shut down its borders and manufacturing is all but stopped, while other countries around the world deal with their exposure and take significant preventative measures. Despite the Bank of China taking several steps to support their economy through monetary stimulus, there's a risk that this is going to have a negative impact on global GDP, with China now contributing 17% to the number versus 3% when the SARS virus impacted the markets back in 2003. As mentioned, the expectation for an increase in global GDP, along with upward earnings revisions and positive forward guidance from companies, have been supporting the market's expectation for modest growth in 2020. One has to think that this latest crisis will have an impact on this. While stocks continue to appear resilient to the underlying risks associated with the coronavirus, we believe an adjustment in short-term expectations is warranted, and a reduction in corporate spending and expansion leading to a slowdown is likely, at least in the short term, unless, of course, we see some additional intervention from the central banks. So, based on this delicate balance between a momentum-driven, ever-optimistic market and the realities of the underlying fundamentals, we've been well-positioned to both manage the risk and capitalize on the opportunity. Our conservative portfolios continue to be managed defensively while generating the cash flow our investors require with reduced volatility. This is achieved by holding significant exposure to bonds and other fixed income products, alongside of covered call strategies that enhance cash flow and collar strategies which limit the downside on the positions while providing some upside. In addition, we continue to focus on low beta dividend-paying companies with solid business models and holding put options as a hedge against the downside of a broad market sell-off. In our growth-oriented portfolios, we've been actively trading the market dips and taking profits as stocks have moved back into all-time highs. We've added to and adjusted our hedges as the markets have rallied and continue to hold significant cash in our core equity and alternative strategies pools to be deployed as opportunities present themselves. On a final note, while our job is to manage risk and capitalize on market opportunities for our clients in all circumstances, we can't overlook the human toll that these kinds of large-scale outbreaks have physically and emotionally on those impacted. To those at risk, we wish for them to stay safe and healthy as the situation is brought under control.